Hi everyone, and welcome to another week of presentations. This is Sean Williams for the newbies, and we do have a newbie, so thank you very much for coming. I really do appreciate it. Got off to a little bit of a rocky start there, so I apologize about that. That's what happens when you start on one device, but then you're installing Zoom on another. But here we go. So this week's topic is about Braille displays, and particularly a Braille display that I have that's actually connected to my Mac at the moment that I really, really like, the Focus Braille displays. Now, I realize that not all of you use Braille or maybe have a Braille display, and that's fine. That's fine. But go ahead and stick around anyway because I think there is plenty to learn, regardless of whether you have a Braille display or not. But before I do that, I do need to back up and I do need to explain about the interviews that you guys have heard. And a question might have popped up. Well, hey, why is he playing in these interviews instead of just talking about? Last week was Braille. The week before, or the not last week, but the week before when we last were together, I was talking about myself during that interview, and the reason being is because one, the meeting about Braille was with a gentleman that you guys were all familiar with, and I figured that it'd be really cool to get his take on the usage of Braille. So that's why that interview was what it was. That's why I played that interview. And the other one was because there were actually some issues with my health the week before when I was doing something live, and a question was asked about a scanner, and when I was having those issues with my health, I thought that someone was making fun of me, and so that's why I said that's not funny. If you guys will remember that, that's why I played that interview with Robin Christofferson the week after that. But now, no more recorded interviews. But I just felt like I needed to explain that. So now this is the live stuff. So let's get on with the presentation. Apologies if that was boring you, but anyway, here we go. So the Braille display that I have is called the Focus 40 Blue, and mine is the 4th generation. I got mine in 2012, and I use mine for primarily for the iPhone, and I wanted to touch on that. And I do use it for my Mac, but I wanted to tell you guys, as far as for me, what I find most useful about Braille and why I am very passionate about Braille. For me, I'm an equivalent to a visual learner. So if I write something down in Braille or if I read something in Braille, that sticks in my brain a lot better than if someone were to just tell me something audibly. And I think that's for me that's very important because there will be times where I will forget things, and reading the whatever it may be, the note, the outline when I was doing audio podcasts, which is essentially what these are. It really helped to have an outline in front of me, so that way I wouldn't stammer or stumble over my words, and it would really help me stay on track. And so that's why, for example, for this presentation, I have. Oops, I need to turn off the voiceover speech. There we go. Sorry about that. That's why for this presentation, I have the price sheet for the Focus 40 Blue line in Braille, so that way I don't forget and I don't have to look it up. So let me just describe this focus display to you, and if you guys have seen one, please bear with me, but if you haven't, then let's go. So on the top of the Braille display from left to right, you have your normal Perkins style keyboard. The backspace is .7, 1, 2, 3. Then you have that's 4, 5, 6, and then .8. Then you have, for me, whoa, That's a weird noise. Anyway, for me, you have 40 cursor routing keys, and then you have,
It sounds kind of like an opticon.
yeah, I don't, what, sorry?
Sounds kind of like an opticon.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. That's getting really annoying.
Sounds like you're some kind of interference coming in from somewhere.
Yeah.
Bluetooth
That's
or cell phone or something.
something. I have no idea. There we go. That's better. Anyway, there's 40 cursor routing keys, and then there are two mode buttons that will allow you to select something or whatever you want the mode buttons to do, really, in iOS. And then there are... Seriously, what is that noise? Okay, sorry. I don't mean to be touchy. Anyway, there are two little rocker switches on either side that will allow you to, within iOS, for example, one moves you forward and backwards. One allows you to control the rotor for iOS, for example. But as I said before, you can change what these buttons do within iOS and any other screen reader, really. And then on the bottom, you have the left thumb key. Then you have a rocker bar. Then you have a left selector, then two shift keys, then a right selector, then another rocker bar, then the right thumb key. And what I usually use the thumb keys for would be to pan or move the Braille display one Braille line at a time. So that way I can read the documents. However, within iOS, they now have a feature that I use the selector buttons, and the selector buttons are very tactile. They kind of feel like they have finger wells inside of them. I'll actually use those selector buttons to slow down or speed up my auto panning of the Braille display. So I know I'm talking about iOS, but you see, the Braille display, it's like a dumb creature. So it really doesn't know what it's supposed to do. It gets its commands from the screen reader that's driving the Braille display. And as I said, I use the Braille display, the Focus 40 Blue, primarily on, excuse me, on my iPhone, but I also hook it up to my Mac, and I really find that very useful. So before I go on, I was wondering if you guys had any questions regarding the Focus 40 Blue that I can answer, like what it looks like or something like that. And I'd be happy to answer those. And then I'll describe the case that I personally have on my Focus 40 Blue. Okay. Oh. Yes. Hello there. Someone was raising their hand.
Oh, I'm on. Oh, is this for me? 951. I just unmuted myself. Hi.
Yep. Hello there.
I raised my hand. Sorry, but hi. This is Nancy Younger, and I'm thinking of getting an L Braille with a fifth generation, at a reduced price. But anyway, can this be used with an Android device, also an Android phone? Because I have a Smart Vision too. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Yes, it can. I don't know if you use contracted Braille or not. Android.
I do.
Okay, so Android has a little work to do on contracted Braille. I think it's fair to say that iOS is a little more polished when it comes to Braille. But to answer the short, sweet answer is yes, you can use it using Brailleback on Android.
Okay, that's what I've heard of that. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, no problem. So speaking of the fifth generation, let me go over the prices that you'll be paying if you choose to get a Freedom Scientific Braille display. So let me do that really quick, and then I'm and then I will continue. So Focus 40 Blue, 5th generation, that's going to run you $2,995. And if you want that with the PMA, or I think that's Purchase Maintenance Agreement, that's going to run you $3,488.50. And if you want a Focus 14 Blue, which is a perfect companion for a mobile device, however, the 40 is definitely good as well. I kind of think of the 40 as a mobile device use case and a laptop use case as well. If you want a Focus 14 Blue 5th generation, it's the same price as the Focus 14 Blue 4th generation, which is $1,295. If you want a purchase maintenance agreement with that Focus 40 Blue 5th generation, that will run you $1,757.50. Now, let's say you have a lot of money and you might have gotten an oil well in your yard or something, or maybe your work was generous and bought this for you. But if you wanted a Focus 80 Blue with 80 crisp cells of Braille display usage, trust me, these dots are very, very crisp. And I've not cleaned my Braille display since I've gotten it, which was in 2012. Anyway, that will run you, for the Braille display itself, $7,995. And if you want the maintenance agreement for the purchase maintenance agreement for the Focus 80 Blue, that will run you $8,803.50. So as you can see, the price it gets a little higher when you add the purchase maintenance agreement, but it's a good idea to have that on there just in case something goes wrong with your Braille display and you need it to be looked at or fixed, possibly. Because one of the things I have heard about the Focus, particularly, I can't speak for the 40 Blue or the 80 Blue, but the 14 Blue or the 80 Blue, but the 40 Blue, what I've heard is that the 5th generation has had a little trouble with its spacebar sticking. But that is that. That's what I can say about the 5th generation Focus Braille displays, and I hear that they're even more durable than the 4th generation. But I've taken mine on airplanes. I've taken mine. I've set mine in a backpack, up in a car, and it's holding out very, very well. Granted, I am very I'm very conscious about what I'm doing with my Braille display. My hands are always clean when I use it, so that may be a factor as to why the pins haven't stuck or something. But that's just me. But if you guys want something, this is for the 4th generation at least. When I got my Braille display, I wanted a case that I could open up and still use the Braille display in. Keep the Braille display in the case and not have to open it up and take the Braille display out, because I wanted my Braille display to stay safe. So what I got was a executive products case, and that, I don't have the price in front of me, but that's actually a really, really good case. Like I said, I have the 4th generation Focus line of the Focus 40 Blue. But the case is nice because it's a magnetic case and you can open it up and the case just folds back. Kind of like if you think about a note taker case, it's kind of like that except without the Velcro. And it allows me just to use the Braille display in the case and shut it when I'm done without having to, because the original case, you would have to literally take the Braille display out of the case to use it, which was kind of a pain. And I still have that case, I just don't use it. But one app that I discovered, if you want to get a Braille display and you want something cheaper than the Focus Braille displays, there's the Orbit Reader 20 and the Orbit Reader 40. But one app I discovered that you might want to check out if you are just learning Braille and you're thinking, oh, I might want to get a Braille display. It's called Braille Buzz. And I just found out about it today, but apparently you can use that to sharpen your braille skills, which is pretty neat. That's made by APH, and I was on their website looking at their different braille displays. So there are tons of braille displays. Frame Scientific obviously is not the only company. It's one of the only companies I've mentioned and the prices of the braille displays, but I just love how long the braille displays last from Freedom. There are other companies as mentioned, such as him, and APH, like I just said, and I don't like to mention this company, but HumanAware also sells braille displays, such as the Braillant, and that is that. And that's a little bit about braille displays and some other companies where you can find them. But I'm curious, do any of you guys have a braille display, and what what kind of features do you like to do using your braille display? Like I said, for me, I like to use it with my iPhone to read. Well, I didn't say this part. I like to use it to read text messages, type text messages, type email, type outlines. It's really helpful and really handy. But I'm anxious to hear from you guys.
I have the Braille Touch. This is Nancy. I had the Braille Touch Plus at a reduced price from a dealer, and I have the HIMS Mini. I don't have the Polaris yet. I use it. I like a small unit though. The Braille Touch Pluses, the HumanWare products are usually pretty large, but I like the Chrome, and I like what they've done with the putting I can put PDF and it goes right to Word, and there's a bunch of features I like about it. Something I don't like the glass, but I think it's a pretty good device. It has 8.0. I think Android's up to 11 or something by now, but they might catch up. But I don't want to monopolize the conversation. But thank you.
Oh, no problem. It's good that you're using Braille. That's awesome.
I love Braille. Yeah.
Oh yeah, me too. Definitely.
Yeah, the Braille Touch Plus has something called Braille Buddy, and it has different training materials, little free things you can pull up, free modules that you can pull up and then learn things. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, I've heard of that app.
Good features. Yeah.
Yep.
And I can pair it with my smart. I can go to contacts and with it, and I can. It's easier to put the contacts on my Braille display than it is on my phone, but I can do either one.
Oh yeah.
Play Store. I can go to Play Store. Word processor, all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah. Yep. And actually, while we're on the subject of Braille, Android just added in Braille screen input. I have not tried it. I'll have to test it out. I do have an Android phone, so I'll be talking about Android at some point. That'll be nice.
Oh, good.
I know this summer they announced that this past summer at the conventions they announced that Braille screen input is now on the Fire tablets.
Ah, I will have to look at that. I have not seen that, but I will have to update my Fire.
Yeah, Fire OS probably the latest one.
Oh, nice. So what do you use your Braille display primarily for then? I think that was Oh, yeah, Bill. I think that's what it was. Hold on. Let me see. No, I'm sorry. I think I got the name wrong. Anyway, does anybody else use a Braille display? If so, what do you guys use it for? Yeah, Stephen, go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, so I have the same Braille display as you, I believe so, because I have a Focus 40 Blue, and primarily I use it for I don't really use it all the time, but when I do, I use it for iPhone and for like the and for like iOS navigation stuff, and yeah, through like certain web pages and apps that I can scroll through by the auto advance feature. Yeah, it's quite awesome.
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, I like that as well.
Yeah.
This is Reg.
Oh, hey there.
I have access to braille displays from work. I'm very lucky in that regard. I haven't used it that much with the computer because I'm so used to speech that it kind of slows me down. Um, I do think most of us braille readers are challenged by spelling, but a few years ago, I had access to a braille note um, empowered. I had loaded the Harry Potter books onto there, and I used to read them while I was traveling and everything because I didn't want to lose my Braille skills. So I got through, the first up through Order of the Phoenix, about the first 6 books anyway, before I gave up and went to audio. But yeah, it's good practice, and it felt good to be reading Braille again. So
Oh, nice.
I'm not super fluent as far as reading aloud and being able to do it smoothly, but at least I still have my Braille. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, definitely. It's definitely good to have a backup. Because what if the power goes out? Which literally did happen. On the 23rd, actually, at my house, the power went out. So I was like, okay, well, I might as well read. Which was also suggested, but I was like, okay, yeah, yeah, that'll be good since there really isn't anything to do. So I was reading, and it was funny because my family members, they were like, "Oh, I need a light. I need a light." Ooh, and they were using their iPhone's flashlight, and I was just joking. I'm like, "Oh, here, you can read this book. It's Braille." Oh, it is rather funny when sighted individuals have to cope with darkness. It is kind of funny, and when the power goes out. Just a second.
What? Put the sound on? Yeah, you can just.
Just a second, guys. I'm sorry about that.
Right.
That is quite all right. We are here just hanging out.
Okay, there we go. Okay, I do not feel good. Crap. Okay, two people's hands were raised. I don't know who they were. I don't know. It might be something that's.
This is Reg. You're okay, man. We were still talking about Braille displays, and I don't know.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
17-year-old.
What? Sorry. Um. Anyway, the thing that I like to do with my Braille display is I like to I guess I love to use it and turn the speech off and turn the sounds off and just kind of kind of kind of not that's not the right word. I guess I like to have the braille display because it kind of makes me kind of feel in a way like everyone else because everyone else obviously who's sighted, they don't have their braille display, or I'm sorry, they don't have their phone talking to them, and so that it's pretty neat that way, just to be able to be kind of in a way like sighted individuals. But does anybody else have any other questions or
Actually,
anything
I don't have a
like that?
question, but I don't have a question, but I'd like to make a comment on what you just said about the Braille
Oh, sure.
display, the privacy. This is Alan, by the way.
Oh, hello
And
there.
what? Okay, so yeah, actually, I'm the same way. Actually, I like my Braille display and to be able to turn off JAWS and just reading Braille whenever I can, or either turn off whatever I'm using. Um, then also, with my iPhone, I have my Braille display connected to it. However, I hardly ever carry it with me. So most of the time, I find myself just constantly using my headphones, which is what I prefer. I mean, I don't want, I can't see what other people do on their iPhones. I don't want them listening, looking at mine. In fact, since I use screen curtain a lot, I remember being on the bus one time and my screen curtain's on, and so I'm swiping and tapping and just having a good time playing a game. And this guy said, "Sir, excuse me, I see you're trying to work your phone, but I think it's broken." So, you know, but I just all want to add one other thing. I don't know if it's been mentioned before because I was a little late coming on, that the National Library Service is demoing the Braille displays for the NLS books now.
Oh, wow. So you said they're demoing
Yeah, they
Braille?
actually they actually tested them. Last I know, they're in four different libraries. One in Utah, one I think in Boston, and I forget what the other two are. I wish they would come to Illinois because I really would like to be part of that.
Oh,
Because I'm
wow.
a
That's
I'm a
actually
huge
really
Braille
cool.
reader. Yeah.
I think New York is, and Washington State is supposed to get it next year,
Okay.
probably starting in January. We don't know the details on it yet, but no, I think Missouri, because
Missouri.
one of my
Yeah.
friends has it there, and it's wireless, and it's they can push
It
books
is.
directly to it,
Yep.
and I believe it's probably made by Humanware and APH, kind of like based on the Chameleon, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Humanware is one of them. The other company is a company I hardly heard the name of. Um, they're the if you go to the Tech Talk archives, you can find a podcast on it.
Oh, nice. Nice.
And I personally liked the Orbit Reader, even though it sounds like there's a dragonfly trapped inside of it. I still think it makes beautiful braille, and it's plenty good for reading. And at least it's 20 cells, which is, I don't like paying twice as much for a Focus 14 because to me, a 14 cell line is just not really long enough for reading for pleasure.
No, it isn't.
It
It really
isn't.
isn't.
But I have to
But
tell
you
you,
do want that portability, and I think 20 hits the sweet spot very nicely
so I have
on
to tell
that.
you, and I agree with you about the 14, but let me tell you what's happened. I've actually I've read complete presentations with the 14 before in front of a large audience before. Also with my 14, I at a picnic one time and I had my computer there and they needed a DJ. So I was able to turn on JAWS and plug in my braille and I was the DJ, man. I had a good time too. And it was so yeah, so it is useful.
Hmm.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I've never seen. I don't think I've seen a 14 cell. The let's see. The littlest I've seen is an 18 cell, and I
It was
really
refresh
didn't
braille.
want 18 cells. I wanted a 32 cell Braille note, and I had an 18 cell Braille note when I first started. Even with a Braille display, really, it was a 18 cell school Braille note is what I really started with as far as Braille displays go.
Well, the the Library of Congress ones are, I think, 20 cells. I don't know why I'm thinking one. I'm gonna go back and look at it, but because I don't want to swear by it, but I think one may be 24 cells or something crazy like that. I forget what it is. Anyway, I know 20 is definitely one of them. I think the other is a little bit bigger.
Oh, nice. Possibly the Orbit Reader 40. I would
No, no,
think.
they're not using
Okay.
Orbit at all. They're using Humanware and another company.
Oh, okay. Oops. Okay. Nice. Well, heck, if they're, I mean, so you
Yeah,
get to keep those.
I
Oh,
thought
sorry.
I'd be in the market for the Braille Me, but it's called it's carried by National Braille Press.
Oh yeah.
That's
Uh
what I
huh.
heard anyway. I don't. As far as I know, it still is. But somebody told me at one time they had heard that the company, the manufacturer of the Braille Me, was going out of business. I
Huh.
haven't heard any more about it. Maybe they've switched manufacturers. I mean, because I heard once that the manufacturer with Innovision, I think they're called, was in India, and
Mm-hmm.
then I heard that you know during the COVID they had stopped shipping, and then I heard later on that they were getting some from China. So
Oh
I don't
wow.
know. I haven't heard any more about it. I was considering getting one, but I want to make sure I can still get one and I haven't heard anything about it at all lately as far as any updates to it or improvements. If it's still, it's one called the Braille Me, and it's carried here in the U.S. by the
National
dealer here in
Braille
the U.S. is
Press.
National Braille Press. Yeah.
Yep, and Brian McDonald is the president over there, and I actually bought one of their note takers for a client, the Braille to Go.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
And they worked, really hard. I mean, they would fix things if you told them about it, but it didn't have a
Are
good
you getting
enough
hungry?
processor in it,
Yeah.
and you
Me
had
too.
No.
Let's talk about Braille displays. I already know.
you had a difficult time reading
I'm
books
gonna
with it.
get off. Here we go.
So
All right. Thanks. Thanks for joining.
Muters.
Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry.
Anyway, that Braille to Go really had some issues, and I don't know what's happened with their note takers and their Braille displays. I looked at the Orbit and the Braille Me at the ACB convention. The Orbit had like twice the battery life at like 30 hours, and yeah, it didn't have routing keys, and it didn't have an onboard translator. But now they have. Yeah.
But the main thing that's turned me off to the Braille Me is the refresh rate and the noise.
Yeah, just like the Orbit, it used the same kind of cells, I believe, that same technology.
The Orbit. I mean, that's turning me off to the Orbit. Is the refresh rate and the constant noise that every time you refresh, and it's like 1 second to refresh it.
That would bug me.
I mean, most people said you couldn't read fast enough to where the refresh rate should keep the words from. But I heard some people say, dots don't always go down, or its accuracy would be, my question. And the noise. I mean, as long as you're not using it at night, when other people are trying to sleep. But yeah, it is really good Braille. But
oh yeah,
nice.
That I have heard. It's like signage.
Yep.
I guess that would kind of bug me because, like, let's say I was somewhere, and I wanted to read something in the middle of the night, and if it was really loud and I was sharing, I don't know, let's say I was going camping and I was sharing a tent with someone, then I wouldn't want to wake them up. So that would be my only concern.
It definitely sounds like a fly is caught inside of it. He made a pretty good imitation of it there.
I haven't seen the later ones, but I heard they're actually a little quieter. And a friend of mine has one. He said they're actually a little quieter.
Yeah. So, but I mean, for the cost and for what you get, the fact that the note taker is built in, I really like the keyboard. I did get a chance to play around with the Orbit Writer keyboard for $100. I've had two different friends that have bought them, and unfortunately, I think it drops letters and it makes mistakes. I was trying to use it to type messages and emails with, and you can pair it up to like five devices. But I think the Bluetooth chip in it must not be very good or something, because it does seem to have some and a little bit of delay and stuff when you're typing. That experience was kind of disappointing. I love the keyboard itself, but that kind of ruins it, and it's kind of
Yes, it
sad
does.
because I really wanted this to work. I mean, we need affordable alternatives in Braille.
Yeah, we really do, and that I'm glad I know about that now, because I was thinking about it. I think even today I was thinking about, one of these times I am going to get an Orbit Writer, but not if it's going to do that.
So I do have a question.
Sure.
Okay, so I read about the Orbit Writer, and it sounds like a nice device, and I thought about buying it. Then I thought, you know what? With my phone, when I write, I always use Braille screen input, which is for me very fast. I love it. So, what would be the advantage of having an Orbit Writer?
Well, for me, I can't. I mean, you guys can chime in too, of course. But for me, I guess the advantage would be, I think it's that it's a physical device, and I think that with the Braille screen input, at least this is me again saying that I think that sometimes what I accidentally do is I will push the wrong button or the wrong keys, and I'll have to backspace it, and then I'll have to just recalibrate the dots and stuff. Like that would be my thing. But there have been times when I've made mistakes with just the Braille keyboard a physical Braille keyboard as well. So I suppose it could happen anywhere. But I think I'd be prone to make less mistakes if I were to use a physical Braille keyboard.
Okay.
I think that's probably what they're aiming at.
Yeah, and one of the other things that I can see, let's say if you're doing a text message or an email, and you make a Braille error, as we call them, then you don't catch it and you send it, then it looks really a lot differently than making it a typo. Like instead of a T with an R. Yeah, I did that one time. I did instead of a friend of mine sent me pictures from Germany because she was in Germany visiting, and I was like very excited, and so I put these are great, and when I went to go hit the period, I hit the end sign by accident, so I should get this is great enough.
Oh no!
No, I had to clean it up real quick.
Oh yeah.
So how's everybody doing?
Oh, good.
Yes, indeed.
Good. I didn't make it last week. Well, we didn't have one last week, did we?
No.
Yeah, that's right. Well, anyway, I just wanted to ask: are you guys using the standard Braille, the old school Braille, or are you guys using the new Braille, Nemeth Code stuff, or whatever that stuff's called?
Old.
They call it unified.
Old school.
Old school.
I'm
right.
a UAB person all the way. Now that's part of my thing of being an instructor. Actually, I learned that it would be the standard in 2016. So in late 2013, I got books on it, learned it, and then I started training people on how to use it in 2014. And I like it actually better than old Braille, particularly when it comes down to doing your typing and stuff, and you want to translate into print. It's a lot cleaner.
Translating into print, wouldn't it come out the same way though? Whether it's the old school stuff?
Okay, let's say for example, if you want to do in standard Braille, you want to do an accent E, or you just got the dot 4E or the dot 4A,
right,
and whatever. Okay, here you could decide whether you want it to be, an E circumflex or E grav, or A circumflex or A grav, or
I see what you mean.
whatever. Yeah, so you can make those kind of decisions, and it just seems to be a lot cleaner.
Now, doesn't a translator? It seems to me that when you go from Braille to print, no matter what the accent it was, in the old school stuff, then to do it, but wouldn't the translator in the program make it correct on the paper?
Well, okay.
You know, as far as you know.
So if you put dot for E, the translator has no way of knowing if you want it to be a grav or a circumflex. I mean grav or what's the other one? That's circumflex. That's for C's. I forget the other one. A grav or an acute.
Yeah,
it has no way of knowing. So here in Great, you get all your different symbols, and with that Braille. Like let's say, for example, if you're in Word, and you could go look up all the different like special symbols. There's Braille symbols for all of those, in the UAB that's not there in your standard grade 2 Braille.
Oh wow!
So did they do anything for Braille music? I don't know if you're familiar with that, although I hate Braille music. But still, did they make any changes in that? Or do you know?
I don't know about the Braille music. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to find that they did, but I'm not really sure. I'm not really up on that one.
Oh, okay. And what about other foreign languages like Spanish? You know, I know Spanish has some, they had some symbols in that too. Just wondered if they.
I don't. Well, this is Unified English Braille, and it's something that the other English-speaking countries have been using since about 2007 or 8, maybe even far back as 2006 even. So just the United States decided to come on board and join the rest of the English-speaking world. So it doesn't affect French or Spanish or anything like that.
Yeah, some of it just didn't make sense. Like how they got rid of some of the symbols. Yeah, it just didn't.
That's
make
the
sense
thing that
me.
was a little bit weird. Yeah.
Well, you know, see, it actually once I got into it, it actually makes sense. It really does. In fact, it does. And again, though, it's part of the translation. From Braille to print, that makes all the difference. I mean, like the TO sign, for 2 being gone, but which is fine because how can you don't really have a way of saying that lower F, it might be an exclamation point in front of something. And today, let's say if you're writing passwords, some people may put an exclamation point in front of their password or somewhere in the middle, and so, but you might really want to think it's TO instead. So to make things clean, they get rid of it. Same thing with the .6, the .6 and the .6y, because what happens is today a lot of your passwords, again, they call it humpbacking. So they put a .6 in the middle, or .6a or L or whatever, in the middle of a password. And I've even met some people whose names start with T then followed by .I, or either, let's say iPad, or iPhone is I.6p. So to make it so that's why they did that.
Yeah, well, see, the thing is that if you learn the rules of Braille, you would know that the drop 6 next to or the drop F next to a word is 2.
Well, I always come back to this, that the way we wrote growing up as a kid. I mean, believe me, I'm 62 years old, and so the way we wrote then, actually a little different than the way we write today because of computers and because of passwords and because the way people are using English language is different today.
You got that right.
So we had to move with the times, and like I always tell blind people, if you look at any of us who are old enough to remember the old typewriters, you didn't even have any, it wasn't even electric, there were manuals, and you had 2 types if you're lucky, Pica or Elite, and that's all you got. If you want something bold, backspace and type over the letter, you see. So if you want to underline, you backspace and you hit a underscore sign. So, but then sighted people started getting all these changes where they could get all these different, going to computers, they get all these different fonts and different font faces, all kinds of stuff. And so the way they were writing changed. And so I always tell blind people that we live in a sighted world. We don't live in a blind world, so we had to make our changes as well. And so this UAB is a step toward, bringing us, putting us on the same footing.
In line with the rest of the world.
Yeah. And like I say, I'm not necessarily trying to promote UAB. I'm just trying to explain why the changes.
Well, I can't believe you're 62, and I'm very impressed that you embraced it early and learned it and actually get to teach it. And I think that is very cool.
Well,
I
see,
can read it, but it slows me down. But I don't
see,
think it would take me long to learn how to write it and to understand the rules. I don't think things have changed so much that I wouldn't be able to deal with that. I'm 58 myself,
mhm.
but I just don't. I understand the reasons for it. I just don't really like it,
Yeah,
because I still leave my computer on US Braille, pre-literary, whatever, pre-UEB, just because it's more pleasant. I don't have to think when I'm reading. I don't want to have to think when I'm reading. I just want
okay,
to
there you
read,
go. Well, see, I have a little bit of a problem that I never grew up. So you give me a new toy, I'm gonna love it. And so being with a new toy,
Yeah, I never grew up either. That was my
yeah, I like
solution
my
to.
toys,
Say,
I was
yeah, same here.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm 61, and I know I relate to everything you've been saying.
there you
The
go.
old typewriters. As a matter of fact, I was only one in my typing class that had an electric typewriter because that's what I was taught on when I was 8 years old. My sister taught me how to type using an electric, and when I saw this manual, I said, "What's that?"
It sounds like Sean is the
My
young
my
man on here. We're
my
all old, and he's the young man.
my very first job, we used manuals. And so
Oh my
when I
goodness.
got my first electric, I was like, oh, I didn't like it. Oh, it was just too sensitive. I was like, okay, this took a little bit to get used to. You know, you hit that C and you got 10 of them before you really realize what happened.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember which key it was that you hold it down and it just goes straight across. Just I'm
That would have been
trying to
the
remember.
X. That would have been the
Yeah,
X because you use that X for you couldn't
yeah.
erase mistakes. So so initially you couldn't not erase mistakes. So you used the X to just cross it out. Um, then you came up with the whiteout stuff you could put in there.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Now they got them behind lock and key because the dumb kids
Yeah,
sniffing that stuff nowadays.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But actually, the UEB. So where I was growing up, in Flint, they didn't have the latest and greatest machines. So, here I am in the '90s. I'm using a Braille in print, and if you'll recall that was made sometime in the '80s, right? I mean, I'm sure you guys would know that. But the
Don't
Braille
know.
in print was actually a pretty cool machine. That was neat because you'd have this little square printer, and then you would have this regular Brailler. And you would write a line of Braille, and you'd press this little square button, and it would just print a line of print. It was really neat. But you'd have to remember to press the square button each time you wrote a line, otherwise that line wouldn't get printed.
So how do you determine how long a line is?
So you determine how long it is based on when your braille writer would ding.
Oh, gotcha.
That
Okay,
that would be
gotcha,
how long the line was. But
gotcha.
I actually taught myself computer braille, and I had to know computer braille. So whenever I read UEB, I'll be like, oh, okay, this is UEB. So really, reading it's not a problem. It's just like for me writing it, I can do it because of one factor, and that was the braille note would always tell you this is a text document. Computer braille is required, and so
Oh,
you
yeah,
had to learn it. And so it is quite fun to mess around with. I
it
still have
is.
my Empower. Still works really well, actually, despite the battery not being. Well, you know what? I think the battery is charged. I think I have to open it up again and kind of fix the battery to get it
Okay.
to be fully functional again. But I just plug it in and I go in a text document. It's still fun to use because it's like, oh, the parentheses. Okay, yeah, I know what those are. Based off of computer braille, so it's really nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as a computer braille, something you do really need to know. Um, and again, though, if you're using like any of the Freedom Scientific products, I don't know about some of the other ones. If you go into the edit field, to like you're looking, there a lot of times they expect you to type something if you're on the computer, you have to type in a computer braille. It'll just
Yep.
say computer braille, and so you need to know that in order to survive.
I always have a
Yeah.
tough
Yeah,
time.
you do.
I have a tough time reading computer braille because, especially websites and stuff like that, because everything goes into grade 2 in my mind because that's what I started out with. I didn't even know anything. I didn't even know there was a difference between 1 and 2. So when I got a hold of a dictionary one time, I was reading it and it was in 1.5.
Whoa,
And
you
it
started out
drove
with grade
me
2?
nuts. Yeah, I sure did. Kindergarten, man. Started out
Whoa,
with
I
grade 2.
started out with grade 1.
Yes, so did
Yeah,
I.
the first thing I saw was my name in Braille 1, and then after that it was grade 2 from then on. So it took me a long time. I think I was like 4th grade before I realized that the word with, WITH, was spelled WITH. So I was getting mixed up with that and of, with and of. So, and then I saw it and I said, oh, okay, so that's how it's spelled.
Mine was I would get mixed up with 9s and 5s.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how that happened. I guess one of my hands wasn't where it needed to be. Maybe it was out a little more or something. But somehow I would always get the 9s and 5s mixed up. I don't know how that happened.
So being a Braille teacher, growing up as a child, I saw that happen a lot. I even may have done it. I know I got something mixed up. I don't know if the 9s and 5s or the 4s and the 6s or with the H and J's, but I got something mixed up for a minute off and on. But even when I'm teaching today, the most common ones to get mixed up are the 9s and are the 5s and the 9s or the E's and I's.
Oh wow.
Really?
Huh. What about you, HK? Did you ever have
What
any?
you might call Braille dyslexia.
Yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
I used to have problems getting mixed up with E's and I's, but now I remember recognize them better nowadays. But the with and the of are mirror images, and I sometimes get those mixed up when I'm reading, when I've read things with those two words, cause they but they both feel the same. And
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh, this is one I've done as an adult. In fact, I did this recently. I was typing really fast, and instead of hitting U, I hit the ing sign.
Oh,
I think I've done that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it can still happen.
I used to do that in math whenever I was doing addition. I would always do it. I always hit the U instead of the ing.
There you go.
Any of you guys familiar with Braille
Yeah,
3 though?
With Braille what?
Braille 3?
Grade 3 Braille.
Grade 3. I used to study it. In
No.
fact, that it saved my life in college because I used a certain stylus.
Yep, that's why I use it too.
And I
guess
took
it's
a lot
kind
of my
a
notes
standard
in
shorthand.
grade
Although
3.
I always say anybody can just devise your own
Right,
Braille
exactly.
shorthand. If you're just taking notes for yourself and nobody else is going to look at them, you can always devise your own.
Yeah, that's what
Braille
just my
True.
algebra class. And I designed my own Braille whenever for algebra. I mean, all the Nemeth code stuff and all the extra symbols. I don't need that crap. It's just for me. This is save, and then plus, hey, I'm a college student on a budget. Say some Braille paper.
I have this vague memory. I think I was in 2nd grade, maybe, of looking at the word dance for the first time in grade 2 and thinking it was DKE.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
a K instead of a .46.
Oh yeah,
got a little
okay.
confused
That makes
there.
sense.
It was back in 2nd grade, yeah.
Yeah, whenever I created my own notes, I always forget what the heck does this mean. What is RW right? Is it RITE or is it RIGHT? What did I whatever or I think it was worry.
The other
That was the
thing
other word
I got
used.
confused with, when we went through, like in 1st grade, we went through what the letters by themselves stood for. Each of the words corresponding
Right.
with each letter by itself, like N for not, P for people, and so
Right.
forth.
Mhm.
And we got down to Z stood for as. Well, for the longest time, I thought as was since it was Z. I thought as was spelled AZ for the longest time until I was caught. I was typing it one day, and then my mom saw that. Why are you spelling as AZ. Well, that's what Z stands for in Braille. 'Cause I always thought. Then I learned it was AS. So it's weird.
Yeah, no, Braille 3 incorporates a lot of that with symbols and stuff. You know, all of the I think all of the alphabet is use different.
Yeah, and there's so many underused contractions. It seems to me like if they were going to, update, so to speak, the Braille code with this UEB, there could have been ways to leave in some of the contractions, just modify them. Like we don't have a 456R. We don't have four. That could have been a. We don't have a 456N. That could have been ATION. We don't have a 456Y. That could have been ALLY.
4-6N. That's an SION.
Yeah,
Oh,
4-6N.
No, that's
Yeah,
5-6.
I'm saying
Right.
4-5-6.
Oh.
4-5-6N could have been ATION.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, 5-6N is the TION.
TION, yeah.
4-6 and
And
SION.
even then, I'm thinking I think what the problem is, years ago when they were developing the codes and the contractions, how could we have known at the time that computers would come along and we'd enter a digital age and there would be translation errors and there would be so much ambiguity that it would cause confusion, and people being taught might, especially probably, I don't know how much problems children have as compared to like adults learning it for the first time with the contractions and the different ways, a double D versus a period versus a dollar sign,
dollar sign, yeah.
that we had in the, all that stuff. There wasn't enough attention paid at the time to making it more future-proof.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Like in the ATION, .6. Why would they use .6 if it's? How could we know that mixed case words would come along someday?
Well, we would know, and we would know that, that people would be using email addresses 30 years ago. And
Right.
so,
Yeah. So
let's say if I
Right.
wrote like Alan,
we had to get rid of the double D. Yeah, the double D
Yeah.
I can understand. We had to get rid of that. But
Yeah.
some of these others, I think, could have been somehow left in,
Right.
just modified, changed instead of removed. Of
I know.
course,
I
that
remember.
Of course, that would have taken some getting used to too. So either way, I mean, if you're going to change the code, you're going to make changes to the code. There's going to be some getting used to anyway.
I remember
Mm-hmm.
in 3.46Y was ALLY.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I remember that.
I don't know though. Whenever I come to a website, I guess I kind of sometimes I'll even see on paper the .com, like a drop D or a period COM, and it'll be okay. That's a little weird because you're expecting the 4-6 COM.
Yeah, I still see that too.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, they used the actual drop period for the .com, and or either
It just doesn't look right.
If you had Sean Williams, there will be a period in there.
Oh no! That definitely would
be.
not look right.
It definitely do it. I mean, that's what it's done with UEB. Which actually, see, now that part I actually like, because now I don't have to think about translating from one thing to another just to write an email address.
Yeah, true. I don't know, just something about it, about the 4-6. It just looked kind of neat. Maybe it was because I don't know. I was looking at it by the COM.
Well, were you a math whiz when you were growing up?
No, I did
Right.
not like
I
math.
thought maybe you liked that. I thought you liked all the math stuff. That's why you like the points 4-6.
Nope. Although I do have a thing about even numbers. I really like even numbers.
Yeah, I do too, man. People think I'm crazy.
Yeah.
And then they always ask me, they say, why do you like even numbers? I said, because they're not odd.
Yeah, exactly. They just, I don't know, something about feeling them in Braille is kind of neat too.
Okay.
Like this F. Oh, like the F, or for off, like OFF. I don't know, it just kind of feels cool.
Yeah, I know. It's weird.
Do you guys have a favorite letter that you guys feel in Braille and you're like, that actually feels kind of neat?
When I was a kid, my favorite letters were A and N. Now that was a kid, and today it don't matter,
Right.
you know. But I was 5 years old.
Right. Right.
There you go. I don't have one really. I just like seeing my name in Braille. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that's in grade 2, by the way.
Oh,
Not
nice.
grade 1.
Is that right? Okay, that's Rich talking there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, sweet.
Uh,
Have you ever read that 1.5 stuff, man? They do that in the music lead sheets now. I noticed. You know, when I questioned them about it, they said, "Well, not everyone around the receiver our lead sheet, Braille music lead sheets, know Braille too." I said, "What made them learn it? Doggone it!" I said, "This is hard stuff to read. I can't stand this stuff. I got to keep translating." Yeah, just too old school, I guess. Huh?
yeah.
Oh yeah. HK, what are some of your fond Braille memories?
I I loved reading and writing Braille. One thing that I really liked when I finally got my first computerized the Braille light was I could start reading Braille one line at a time rather than since I'm only one-handed, since my tracking hand don't work, it was really beneficial for me when I got a device where I could read one line of Braille at a time.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm sure that definitely helped.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I was having to track and read with the same hand on paper Braille, it took longer. Plus, the comprehension, my comprehension wasn't very good. But once I in school, but once I got a device that I could read one line of Braille at a time, my reading comprehension got a lot better.
Right, right. So if you were to read Braille today on a piece of paper, like a Braille book, would you be able to do it?
I mean, yeah. In fact, I just got done this morning reading a book, a magazine that comes out several times a year. Uh, Breaking Ground magazine, which is uh done by the Tennessee Council on Developmental Disabilities. I uh I got done reading it this morning, read through it, and yeah, but it's just easier. I can do paper Braille, but it's just a lot easier when I'm able to do the uh read stuff on my device, Apex.
Right, right. No, makes sense. Makes sense. I mean, I remember when I had to let's see. So I had a surgery in my left elbow, and I couldn't use my arm, my left arm at that time, and so I sat down and I found a book that was one I hadn't read before for some reason, but I had gotten it when I was a kid, and it was in grade 1 Braille. So I said, all right, well, I might as well, try reading with one hand. And so I did. And what really helped me with that book was that book was double spaced. Each line was double spaced. And so I can, I definitely can see how with reading one hand, just with, one line of Braille, if you only have the use of one hand, can definitely help. But
Yeah.
did you ever try reading books that were double spaced?
Of course, I read some that were, but most of the books that I ended up getting to read in school were more than not single spaced.
Right, right. Yeah, single space braille definitely makes things. It obviously makes the books a lot less thick. But
Any
one
of you
thing.
guys?
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
But one thing that I'm actually noticing, which is kind of neat, is that each time we're talking, and I'm on the talking portion, is that whenever someone stops and whenever someone starts talking, your guys' name pops up in braille. It's kind of neat just to watch.
Oh,
Oh,
really? That's
really?
cool. See, I know.
That
Okay, right
is.
now I'm using JAWS, but I'm
Mhm.
using the 2021 beta.
Oh,
And
okay.
I don't know if anyone has that. If you do Control Shift T, it tells you who's talking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Alan,
that's
I didn't know you had two L's in your name. That's neat.
I do. As this one guy named one of my ex coworkers, former coworkers, who middle name is Alan. He says, "Oh, you spell your name the correct way." And I said, "What's wrong with the other way?" He said, "It's not the right way to spell Alan." So he spelled his name the way I do. So
Oh, nice.
Oh. Now I was just wondering if you guys have trouble with interpoint braille on a page. You know, when you got braille on one side, braille on the other side.
I don't.
Oh, no,
No, I don't. In
Yeah, some
fact,
people have problem with that.
I tell you what, I used to be such a big braille reader that even in the winter time, I was so into some of my books. I was standing at the bus stop. I would
Yeah.
unzip my bag, put my hand in, and just read page after page with one hand while I'm waiting for the bus.
Yep.
And it's
Done that.
winter time, like, but as long as my hands were warm, I was okay.
Exactly. The new braille cuts.
There you go.
Back in the, I don't know if you guys ever did this, but actually I didn't see this until I was in 6th grade. My research teacher brought in this box that they use to test the sensitivity of your fingers, and it was pieces of cardboard that had thin cardboard that had different grades of sandpaper on it, and there was like 4 on each one, and you had to tell her which one. Like if she asked you which one has the is the smoothest, I don't know, and it's like 1, 2, 3, or 4, and that ruins your fingers like crazy. you know,
Oh, goodness.
so when it started making what I call getting cataracts on my fingers is what I call it. And when I started getting those things, I said, I got to stop this. And she says, yeah, you better stop. She said, you don't need this. You don't need this. But I thought I'd just show you what they use. And I don't know anybody else has ever seen that before.
I
have not.
may have. I'm not.
It's torture.
I'm just trying to remember. Huh. Definitely remember some kind of sandpaper. I just don't remember what it was for.
It was shop. That's what it was.
Yeah. Oh, thankfully I didn't have to do that.
Yeah, she just showed it to me because by that time I already had Braille down because like I said, I started. I was introduced to it when I was 4, just before kindergarten.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm sure that was with me too. The interesting thing about growing up where I did, the like I've said before, the school was not up to par as far as what what I would have learned if I were to have gone to school in my hometown. So when I went to the school that I did go to, it was kind of interesting because I didn't use JAWS until I was until I was in middle school, maybe about 6th grade, 7th grade, something like that. But before then, it was all Braille, which I'm very thankful for. But I just remember going in and having a Braille and Speak Scholar. I remember going into to this camp, or no, I'm sorry, it was actually a ski place, I remember showing my Braille display, or sorry, my Braille and Speak to people, and being all proud and stuff. And they're like, "Where are the thumb keys?" I'm like, "Thumb keys? What are you talking about?" And it's because they had Braille notes. I'm like, "Oh, oops." And then I found out what thumb keys were the next year.
I just want to tell you, what is it? What's my HK, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you and I have something in common. Both our first Braille display were actually the Braille Light, and
Oh, okay.
I've used that. I used that thing to actually to help deliver a eulogy at a funeral one time, and it went over really well. So that was really
Oh,
cool.
okay. That's neat.
So my first Braille display that I actually saw was Braille Light, but the one that I actually used, of course, was a Braille Note. But yeah, I can remember seeing the Braille Light for the first time and thinking, "Wow, this is cool! I want one of these." And so my father, who I've said in past meetings, he works with IT. He actually was looking at the Braille Light. He thought it was pretty cool, and he was telling me about a guy who apparently was selling a Braille Light 40, and I don't know how I remember this stuff. It's weird. Like I remember things from my early childhood that I'm surprised I even remember. But I remember we went home from another blindness outing, and he was looking on the computer. He's like, "Hey, Sean, there's a guy. He's actually selling a Braille Light 40," which I didn't even know that there was a Braille Light 40. But yeah, the Braille Light was neat for what it was.
Hmm.
I remember back in the '90s, I got an email. I think it was the '90s, and I may still have it, but I got this email saying that somebody was working on a Braille display that was the size of a computer monitor,
Oh wow!
and I never heard anything more about it.
Okay, so I don't remember how big it is, but has anyone heard of the Canute?
Yes.
No.
Okay, it's a multi. Yeah, so Sean knows about it. Yeah, it's a multi-line Braille display. I think what is it, like 340 characters, if I remember, or 360
Something like a
characters,
whole
something
Braille
like that.
page or something.
Yeah, and yeah, I think 360 because it's 9 lines and 40 characters across, something like that, something on that line. But yeah, and it's refreshable Braille display. I've heard demos on it when it was like really really noisy. And you thought if you thought that the
Orbit reader.
Orbit reader is loud, that thing was maybe about 10 times louder. and it took a long time to refresh the page. However, I do not know what it sounds like now that they have it actually on the market. I have not heard any demos on it, but I do know AT guys are selling it.
Oh wow!
Huh.
Yeah,
It's
I
expensive,
didn't
though,
remember
too.
the name, but I definitely knew what you were talking about because I had heard about it myself.
Yeah,
It's
that's
probably
definitely
expensive.
is definitely for your desktop. It's not something it's probably not very portable.
Yeah,
No.
probably not.
I still would like to see a Focus 80. That would be neat to see.
A friend of mine has one.
Oh wow!
He loves it. Yeah, he got it from his job when he retired. They gave it to him. Here, take it home.
Nice.
So what were they going to use it for, right?
Huh?
What were they
he
going to
loves
use it for, right?
Yeah, he has it plugged into his computer, and while he left, he loves that thing.
So is that just USB powered then?
His is apparently, at least as far as I know, it's got it plugged into his computer at this time. I'm going to ask him if the Bluetooth, did they have any Bluetooth capability? I have a feeling it doesn't because he retired about 5 years ago.
Okay. Okay.
Could be USB, yeah.
Yeah, so it's probably just USB only. But yeah, that's
Or it has a ginger bender on it.
I might.
Nice. Oh, nice. So does anybody have any more questions for me before I stop the recording and then we can keep talking? I don't care.
It's Kate speaking.
Sure.
How the braille displays that you've been talking about today, do they have, are they one-handed mode?
So one-handed mode really depends on the screen reader driving it. So for
Okay.
example, like Keysoft, that's one-handed mode now. Thank goodness. So it's really what screen reader you use. Like for example, if Apple ever got a one-handed Braille mode, which yes, I have suggested it to them a lot, or at least a few times, I should say, then the Braille display would be one-handed mode.
Yeah.
They just need to implement that
And I,
Yeah,
functionality.
I hope they will. I hope for those of us people who need that, I hope they will someday implement that on Apple devices.
Oh
and
yeah.
I've seen the one-handed mode with the focus, and when you're using it for JAWS, I've seen that before. I do believe it's. I mean, I've seen it somewhere with that, but it's been a while, so I'm assuming that it is there.
Okay. So that's good. What about NVDA? Do you guys know if that has a one-handed mode? I've not checked that out.
I do not know.
Me neither, actually. Yeah, I should check out NVDA. Period. I mean, I have it, and I definitely use it for college. Oh man, was that useful for college? Plug in a thumb drive, boom, you're off and running. But I've
Yeah.
not checked out, admittedly, the Braille display support. I should do that. I really should, because that's
Yeah,
what was turning me off from NVDA for a long time, because they wouldn't implement contracted Braille. All of a sudden they have it. It's like, oh, I should give this a look.
I think someone told me, and this is about maybe 3 or 4 months ago, that it wasn't compatible with the Orbit. But however, the thing is, they've had an upgrade since then. I haven't heard anything what's going on with the upgrade. I'm gonna go ahead and download it. Actually, I was on my old computer. I just got a new computer, so I haven't put it on there yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and download it this evening and play around with it. I'll see what's there.
Oh, nice. Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you guys very much for coming to this review, and I will talk to you guys next week. And I'm gonna stop the recording.